Hello, and welcome back to the next part of the bonus story from White Album 2. This is The Idol Who Forgot How to Sing, Part 3. So, pretty much this is describing the in-between between introductory chapter and closing chapter, and the times where Haruki and Setsuna just could not reconnect. And unfortunately, in the last episode, it was Setsuna's birthday, which just so happened to be the same time Haruki announced that he was switching departments within the university. So now not only did they talk, but she can't really see him during classes or lectures either, which she is very, very upset about. So now we're moving into part 3. This is The Sentiment, 3 years later. April. At last, the 3rd year since Setsuna had entered Hojo University. The season when Unreaching Love, it's Todokanai Koi, the winter staple, had ceased to play on the school radio station. Setsuna, you're coming to the welcome party next weekend, right? The grad student said we have to bring you this time. Yes, okay, I'll go. Even in a new term, in a new year, Setsuna was placed at the center of attention, just like always. Don't schedule anything else, got it? You'd better come to 4th period. We're kidnapping you as soon as the lecture is over. I'm going to keep an eye on you the whole day. Don't make any suspicious moves. You've told me that 5 times now. Don't you trust me at all? No. Yeah, like coming from the girl who canceled on the seminar trip last minute. I told you I had the flu. I told you 1,000,000 times. That's a lie, though. No matter how much time passes, Setsuna doesn't stop covering things up with lies. She's not the only one, but that doesn't make it okay. A month and a half since her 20th birthday. Before the new college term started, Setsuna had spent her spring break as what might generously be termed a shut-in. Not because she actually had the flu, of course. She just didn't attend the planned seminar trip, didn't do anything at all from morning to night, and the whole time avoided seeing anyone. You didn't get any invitations from Kitahara-san? That sounds like the end, sis. Haruki-kun is basically living at work throughout the whole spring break. He's not like a certain little brother who just stays at home and plays video games all day. So he's not like a certain older sister either. Actually, never mind. There's no way for either of us to win this. This state of things persisted at home. Although, honestly, I gotta give Takahiro credit for trying. He doesn't just avoid the elephant in the room. He's confronting it. He's like, hey, something's up. Something's not good. Sounds like the end, like kind of edging her towards, you need to move on. He's such a good brother. In other words, she hadn't even told her family yet that she had broken up with Haruki. At that moment, Setsuna found yet another thing she hated about Haruki. She hated that he had forced her to tell such a pathetic lie. He didn't. All you have to do is just tell your family. This has nothing to do with him. God, that wasn't fun. No kidding, 2 of the organizers dropping out. Even now, as she was immersed in these unpleasant recollections, the hassling from her 2-person pressure group didn't let up. Although the leading edge in their tones was one of deep curiosity rather than resentment. Setsuna, I'm really sorry to keep asking you this, but I need you to answer honestly. Did something happen with Tomochika-kun? Like I've told you over and over, no. As proof of that, the conversation had suddenly turned in this direction. I was just wondering, since you both canceled on the same day and all. We thought maybe you'd, eloped. No, we didn't, but people were wondering whether you'd gotten a head start on us. That's gossip. Literally just gossip. Don't pull me into stupid stuff like that. As with Haruki, Setsuna hadn't seen Tomochika since the night of her birthday. As a result, not a single answer from a single person had come forth concerning that night. Except within Setsuna's heart. Poor Tomochika, listen, he's such a good person. I really like him. Man, it could have been so good. Well, right, but you two got super close. I legit thought you might get together. Also, we haven't seen him since third year started. Yeah, I thought something might have happened. Like, did you get in a fight? A fight? No, why would we? She would never fight someone she couldn't seriously clash against. That was what she meant. Can we quit talking about this, please? Well, the fact remains that you left us hanging. Yeah, that we managed to scrape by thanks to the late Mr. Chairman. God, I don't even want to think about what would have happened without Kitahara-kun. Oh, God. Of course they have to bring up Haruki. I'm not going to skip out this time, okay? Please stop talking about this. Drop it. I'm done. The seminar trip, in which neither Setsuna nor Tomochika had participated, had apparently taken a bit of a strange turn. The two unexpected cancellations left the remaining organizers in a fix, lacking the full information concerning those attending, when suddenly a savior appeared to stand in for them. God. I mean, it's a good thing. It's a good thing to be involved in the student organizations, and it's a good thing to help out where you're needed, but it seems just like anytime somebody's in trouble, Haruki's like graces them with his presence. Like, here I am to fix all the problems, except the problems in my own life. Always, it's so frustrating. Fix yourself. Spend all that mental energy you spend on other people and fix yourself. My goodness. That is to say, Haruki Kitahara himself, the one who had withdrawn from the semester because he was transferring in spring. Making full use of his inherent coordinating abilities, diligence, and the forwardness that allowed him to shy away neither from professors nor from upperclassmen, he recompiled the list of attendants entirely. And he didn't stop there. He went along on the trip himself, keeping an eye not only on what was supposed to be Setsuna and Tomochika's work, but on the other organizers' task assignments as well, mercilessly speaking up and stepping in wherever thoroughness was lacking, and ultimately came to manage the entire body of organizers. Room assignments at the boarding house, travel to and from the ski resort, running the parties, buying supplies, and so on. He never showed himself up front, but pulled all the strings from behind the scenes. He should be a wedding coordinator. That takes a lot of organizational skills and keeping track of a bunch of different parties. I think he could do well at that. And last of all, he returned to Tokyo early, accompanying a senior who had been injured while skiing. When Setsuna learned of this slightly bewildering legend from the organizers after the fact, she was seized with the impulse to get angry, to ask, "Why didn't you tell me?" But it occurred to her that she had no right to talk that way, as someone who had supposedly been stricken down with the flu, and remained silent. Yeah, what could she do? She finds out Haruki's going, and she's like, "I feel so much better. Oh my God, I want to go on the ski trip now." No, you can't. And after a little while, she realized that she had been wrong to feel excited over this intervention of unclear motivation, and started to see it as a defect of Haruki's rather than a virtue. At that moment, Setsuna found yet another thing to hate about Haruki. She hated this pointed officiousness of his, which threatened to make her feel guilty. It was almost halfway through April. Listen, if you're going through like a bad breakup and all you have to hold on to is like your annoyance and your hatred of certain things, honestly, I don't think that's the worst thing in the world. I think trying to pick out what you hate about someone in order to distance yourself from them is not that bad. And usually I wouldn't advocate for hate, but like in this instance, as long as you're not going around spewing vitriol over other people, it's fine to keep a little bit of hatred in your heart, I guess. I think that's what I mean to say. Definitely. She needs the space. She needs the justification. So whatever it takes. It was almost halfway through April The lectures, which had been tied up in personal introductions and overviews at the start, were beginning to touch upon their actual material. I guess he's not here. Setsuna stood near the entrance of dining hall number 2 in the north part of campus, seemingly waiting for someone. She loitered there alone, hugging her shoulders and shivering just slightly. The weather had gotten a bit warmer, but it was still chilly in the evenings after 4th period was over. Her eyes were on the front door of Building 3, which was right next to the dining hall. Students were trickling out and melting back into the campus, their lectures and seminars over. Incidentally, Dining Hall number 2 and Building 3 were situated almost exactly opposite to Building 6, the Politics and Economics building on the south side of campus. Okay, there's so much location explanations going on. I wish they just put a little map. Put a little map, or honestly, don't even tell me except what I need to know. Just tell me that they're on opposite sides of campus. That's all I need to know, because I have no idea. Too many buildings. The grounds of Hojo University were long from north to south, and it took more than 10 minutes to walk between the two places. And the reason that Setsuna, who was generally a homebody, would take the trouble to walk such a long distance. What's going on, Haruki-kun? Was, of course, because this was the literature department's territory. Oh boy. It's really funny. I don't know if it was just maybe my university, but while there were different parts of campus, right? Like, oh, this campus section is a lot of economics. This campus section is like a lot of something else. It wasn't split like they explain it in the WA2 Hojo University. Like, to be so separated through departments that it's hard to kind of even see each other without going out of your way is a little surprising to me. The day before, she had received some interesting information over the phone from Io. Although Haruki had transferred into the literature department for their 3rd year, his attendance percentage had been poor so far this term. The source of this information was a friend of Takea's in the lit department, who had seen Haruki in Building 3 all of 3 times in the past 2 weeks. This might be understood from an average humanities student, but from Haruki, who had a reputation as the credit king in politics and economics, such an attendance rate sounded like disaster. Also, as background for the fact that Io was still passing on gossip about Haruki to Setsuna, there was, of course, a small discrepancy in information. In other words, Setsuna hadn't even told her best friends that she had broken up with Haruki. She had been so thorough in hiding it that whether she actually had the desire to break up was questionable. And this is so frustrating to me for both Haruki. Okay, well, I guess no, it's true. Both Setsuna and Haruki are still really keeping this under wraps, because if Haruki was open about it, Takea would know, and if Takea knew, then Io would know. And obviously they know something's going on, but they haven't outright heard from either of them, like, yes, we're broken up. And so they're just kind of stuck in this, like, half relationship where they literally don't even talk to each other. But, like, they also can't move on. It's just so bad. As she reflected upon the state of affairs up to this point, she sighed at how embarrassing she was, as she had proven over and over and over. What did she expect to accomplish waiting for Haruki like this? Even if he were at school today, that didn't mean she would be able to go up and talk to him. She would just release the breath she was holding, feeling indignant over being made to worry. And if he weren't at school today, that didn't mean she would be able to call him and check on him. Her anxiety would just increase, and her curiosity would grow greater. She was forced to acknowledge that what she was doing was extraordinarily nonsensical, pitiful, almost stalker-like. But from Setsuna's point of view, even that much was Haruki's fault. Which, by the way, it's absolutely not. You want to worry about your ex-boyfriend? That is your own problem. That's not his. For once, something isn't Haruki's fault. Not to come to school, when he was so quick to scold other people for skipping lectures. He'd said he was transferring out of interest in his future career, but his actions didn't line up. Anyone who told her not to worry over something like this would have something wrong with them. She hated him a little bit for making her choose to walk all this way. Okay, well, me talking about her hating being fine doesn't include this. This is just dumb. This is just very childish. She hated him a little bit for making her do something this embarrassing. She hated him a little bit for the selfish conduct that made her worry this much. And these three little hatreds combined to form one more complete thing she hated about him. She made a strenuous effort to soften her expression, which had turned grim on its own. She's just standing there furiously, staring at nothing. But she also couldn't miss that familiar jacket leaving Building 3. Nor could she miss the girl leaving Building 3, right next to that familiar jacket, clinging to its arm. Oh, God, of course. She has no idea. Come on, Haruki, you came all the way to school today. You gotta have a drink with me. After last week's hangover, no, let go of me. Don't talk like that. I'm welcoming you, jerk ass. I'm pretty sure I've been the one treating you every time. Well, things have been a little tight for me this month. What a coincidence. It's the same for me, which means I'm busy with work this month. Bye. God, you're completely heartless. What, am I just supposed to abstain? Well, it couldn't hurt your health. Let go. I don't want you stretching my sleeve. This is normal. Even if they were dating, which they're not, because this is clearly Chiaki, that's fine. They are not dating. They're not. Obviously, they're not. Moving on is normal. Even if you move on and then ultimately decide you want to go back with your ex, that's fine. But you need to be able to go have those experiences before you can realize, like, the situation is so complicated. You need to have outside friends that you can be honest with. You don't need to have another girlfriend, boyfriend, but like, couldn't hurt. She couldn't approach and couldn't run away either. Just waited as Haruki and the girl clinging to his arm passed in front of her, letting them pass from her hiding place, trembling from an unreasonable emotion, the humiliation of not being found. She couldn't see the girl's face, and she didn't want to. She just knew from her voice and manner that the girl was a completely different type from herself. Assertiveness that allowed her to just start talking to him. Carefree brightness. And, above all, the fact that he had accepted her. All were things she had had in the past and had now lost. That's the way the cookie crumbles. That's the way things happen. If you're not assertive enough to fix the relationship, it's just going to run away from you. Not that it really is in reality. They're absolutely not dating, but come on. At that moment, Setsuna found one more thing she hated about Haruki. She detested that he had made her worry and then done something this horrible to her in return. Have you lost some weight? Setsuna remained where she was for a while, staring openly now that they had moved far enough away from her and feeling a new worry sprouting. All right, I'll go next. Here's to the coming year. Cheers! Yes, I hope everything goes well. Wow, nice. You can really drink, Ogiso-chan. Guys, don't make her drink that much. She usually only has one sip. I don't know. From what I'm seeing, she's used to this. Maybe she's just hiding it usually? Oh, no, Thank you. Setsuna? That's the way. All right, my turn next. The weekend welcome party was moving too fast for Setsuna. This is not good. Like, this is where it feels more real, more realistic to me because, I don't know, parts of White Album 2, especially through these side stories which occur while they're in university, just kind of feel like drama. And it's really easy to write, high school, university drama just because it's so petty, it's so simple. This is more of like an adult narrative, I feel like. Turning to alcohol when things aren't going your way. You can't solve your own problems, so rather than just like move on or fix them or work on yourself, you just start drinking. And university is a great place for that because there's always a party going on. And her being the center of the school's attention, it's really, really easy for her to fall into that crack. And so, like, this is painful. I hate this. Oy vey. Her usual moderate, reserved behavior was taking a back seat, and she drank everything that was poured, answered everything that was asked, but didn't smile back at any of the trivial talk. To her friends in her class, who always tried to drag her to parties and were consistently disappointed in their attempts, this was a somewhat bewildering sight. And none of them could have imagined the origin. Her former classmate, the male student who had changed departments just recently. Or the reason, a jealousy far too petty for the idol of the university. That's a cute blouse. Did that design just come out this year? Oh, I just bought it. If diligently searching through bargain sales and specials online, carefully selecting the item that put on the best display for its price and ordering it, could just be called just buying it, then Setsuna's wording was correct. Dude, it doesn't matter. It doesn't, I don't care how popular you are. If you were just like, yeah, I found this on sale. It was like $2. People would be like, oh my God, that's amazing. You don't have to have design or everything. That's the thing about being popular. You can make unpopular things popular. Like Macklemore in the thrift shop, like, it just depends on your confidence. But Setsuna's just, I don't know, she's hardwired to have this idea of what an idol is, and it's very frustrating. Except for that single half year in high school when she got more relaxed, Setsuna had always been a vain girl. Though she herself didn't know to whom she was trying to show off, or what she was so greedy for. I assume you're looking for a guy on the same level? You want a guy who spends good money on his clothes? Guys, I told you we're not allowed to ask Setsuna questions like that. Well, I guess I'm not worried about how much money is spent, but I do prefer a guy who puts effort into his personal appearance. Setsuna? Ah, got it. Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, if you're gonna walk next to Miss Hojo, that's like the most basic requirement. My God. What an obvious answer. Any girl in the world wants someone who puts effort into their appearance. Doesn't mean you have to like dress up in a tuxedo every day, but that's literally such a basic requirement. It was a fairly innocuous answer. But for all the guys present, this first ever allusion to the Setsuna Ogiso's tastes was quite an event. Hey, Ogiso-chan, mind giving me your evaluation? Would the clothes I'm wearing right now suit you? They're actually imported directly from Italy. No, you just missed the whole point. It's not about the money. You gotta raise your level as a person first. Your personality wouldn't fit her at all. They're so... guys are so silly sometimes. I mean, so are girls, clearly. Sitting here complaining about Setsuna for a half hour, but guys are funny sometimes. As the guys around her ran every which way with her remarks, Setsuna herself, exactly, put some effort in. You were wearing the same jacket as last year while you walked around with that girl. If you've changed girlfriends, you ought to change your clothes too. Okay, I've actually never heard that line before, and it's very funny. Every time you have a breakup, you just have to throw out your whole wardrobe and just get new clothes. Wrongfully, she was thinking of a guy who wasn't even here. One who, for that matter, was far removed from the kind of guy she had just mentioned. Always wearing the same clothes, the same haircut he'd had since high school, unrefined in fashion. His only saving grace was in his cleanliness. Okay, but to be fair, Haruki's always constantly sweating waterfalls out of his armpits and forehead, apparently. So I question the cleanliness. And although she couldn't make an unbiased judgment herself, most people would say his looks were only average. If the group present here were to appraise him, every one of them would most likely give him the not worthy to walk next to Setsuna Ogiso stamp. And yet, the girl known as Miss Hojo had been jerked around by this guy for the past 2 years. She had put so much effort and money into herself, but he didn't respond at all. At that moment, Setsuna found another thing she hated about Haruki. She hated that he didn't notice or care about her appearance. Oh, that's sad. Yeah, I mean, not to say that, you should put everything into appearance because, if someone's sick, obviously, like when Kazusa was sick, he still loved her, even though she probably realistically looked like a mess. And, if someone's like horribly crying their eyes out, mascara running, you should still love them, right? You should still think they look beautiful. But at the same time, you need to notice people's appearance. Be like, oh, your skin looks really soft today. Or wow, your hair looks really shiny today. Did you do something to it? Things like that are so important. So I get where she's coming from, I guess. After that, the welcome party continued to build in excitement, centered around the grad students surrounded Setsuna. But after 2 hours had passed, the students had partied themselves out, beginning to unravel, and a calmer mood fell over the space. Accordingly, the topics of conversation shifted to what they'd been up to recently, places they'd gone. Oh yeah, I saw Chomochika the other day. Oh shit, where? At my apartment. He was working on moving someone into the place next door to me. Now you mention it? I think it's now that you mention it. He hasn't shown up to seminar at all. You think he's going to drop out? I asked, but he didn't give me a clear answer. I hope he doesn't. I need his notes. You're not really his friend if that's all you're worrying about. Well, if we don't have Kitahara anymore, Tomochika is our last hope. Oh yeah, I saw Kitahara with him too. Again? That means they're working at, 3 of the same places now? I know people joke about them dating, but I guess they're still close after Kitahara's transfer anyway. I guess smart people just have some kind of understanding. What? Why? Oh. I'm glad that he has friends. Listen, from Setsuna's perspective, she sees Haruki with a girl on his arm. She's hearing about Haruki with a best friend and a bunch of jobs, and he's doing things with his life. And what is she doing? She's at a college party drinking her troubles away with nothing. I mean, not that she doesn't have anything, right? She has great friends, great family, but she doesn't value those right now. So to her, this is pretty devastating news. Ogiso? Oh, don't mind me. Keep talking. But you look pretty upset. All the seniors are glaring at us. Oh no. They're so weirdly eavesdropping. At the end of the table, as 2 guys engaged in a smaller, more relaxed gossip, Setsuna, who had been monopolizing the focus of the place, had wedged herself in. Since right about, I saw Kitahara with him too. I can't deal with this. As Setsuna pushed hard off the street with her heel, she heard an unexpectedly loud, unpleasant crunching sound, shortening the lifespan of both Setsuna and the heel by a bit. She took the 15-minute walk from Suetsugu Station to her house quickly, sometimes cursing like that, sometimes falling into a depression, sometimes getting agitated. The time was 9:40. 9:40? What kind of college party ends at like 9 p.m., right? Because they said after 2 hours it started thinning out. So what? Did the party start at like 7 and end at 9? What kind of university is this? When the main party ended at 9, she betrayed the hopes of the guys who were expecting her to come to the after party, saying it was almost past her curfew. She then brushed them off when they offered to see her home and vanished in the direction of the ticket gate. The development brought some peace of mind to her female classmates in a way. Ah, there's the Setsuna we know. But to the male grad students who didn't know about her self-breaking, it was a disaster. They could easily imagine the party going flat without her there. Setsuna didn't care about that, however. He did it for Tomochika-kun, not for me. When Haruki came up at the party, Setsuna got excited for a moment. But as she listened to the particulars, her irritation steadily grew. If Haruki was still working at the same places as Tomochika post-transfer, that meant they were still involved with each other. He never contacted her. He never looked at her, even when she was close by. He didn't apologize, refute, explain, or rebuke her for what happened. But he hadn't cut things off with Tomochika, who had given her that unforeseen confession, had caused her such pain. Well, Listen, there's no need to chastise him for it. They're not together. And Tomochika coming to her and confessing is not like a sin. Even if it made her feel some pain, it's not something that could have been helped. You know, that's part of moving on with life. Even if you're not ready to move on, you getting a confession isn't the end of the world. And you need to deal with things like that. My God. Okay. I think I'll actually stop there for now. I'm so frustrated with everybody except Tomochika. So, thank you so much for being here with me on this chapter of the White Album 2 bonus story, and I'll be back with the next part shortly. Until then, hope you take care. See you.